Hello and welcome to today's Verified Live. Power sharing in Northern Ireland's dissolved Assembly is set to return after the biggest unionist party, the DUP, backed a British government deal aimed at soothing concerns over post-Brexit trading routes. Government at Stormont has been suspended for almost 2 years after the DUP walked out in protest over arrangements which created trade barriers between Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK. It's not clear what exactly is in the deal, but it won't reverse the basic settlement between the UK and the EU. Well, let's go straight to Stormont and our Ireland correspondent John Campbell, who's there for us. And John, we were listening only a few moments ago to Jeffrey Donaldson. Is it becoming clear how soon power sharing could be up and running again?
Every chance it will be by the end of this week. Jeffrey Donaldson was certainly in fighting form there, outselling this deal, saying that it's going to deliver more than some of his critics had suggested. Now, of course, at the moment, we only have what he is telling us, his particular spin on this deal. He says there's going to be new legislation to further underpin Northern Ireland's position within the United Kingdom. There'll be legislation which will guarantee the unfettered access of Northern Ireland goods as they flow across the Irish Sea into other parts of the UK. He's also saying there are going to be changes to the rules for goods coming the other direction, because that has been the major concern for unionists, that the post-Brexit trading arrangements which the UK government imposed on Northern Ireland meant that businesses within Great Britain need to jump through various new hoops in order to get their goods into Northern Ireland. For unionists, that was undermining Northern Ireland's place within the UK, so they've wanted that sea border swept away. They're not going to get that, but Jeffrey Donaldson says it will be further amended and mitigated. One thing we are pretty sure on, though, is a sort of side deal which the UK and the EU have announced this afternoon, and that concerns Northern Ireland's participation in UK trade deals. Up until now, Northern Ireland could not benefit when it came to imports under those deals. For example, when bringing in things like New Zealand lamb, Northern Ireland importers would still face tariffs rather than the tariff-free arrangements under the trade deal. Now the UK and the EU say they have reached an agreement in the body which oversees the overall Northern Ireland Brexit deal, and Northern Ireland now can participate fully in those trade deals. And Sir Jeffrey Donaldson was saying, well, here is something which shows that the EU have actually moved a bit. There is going to be a textural change to what is in the overall Windsor Framework Agreement. People said that couldn't be done, and now it is being done. So that is something which Jeffrey Donaldson has certainly grasped onto this afternoon as an example of what he says is the sort of progress which has been made.
And of course, a huge amount of politics involved, so much pressure, especially on the DUP, with all of those protests we've seen in Northern Ireland in recent weeks. It is right to say, isn't it, that money will flow from Westminster to Stormont once they get power sharing running again?
Exactly. The Secretary of State here has a cheque for over £3 billion, which he is preparing to hand over to the Northern Ireland parties when and if, which looks like when now, they return to Stormont. A large chunk of that, about £600 million, is supposed to be used to settle public sector pay claims. There have been a series of very disruptive public sector strikes here because those workers in public services have seen their wages fall substantially in real terms over the last couple of years. There has been a budget crisis in Northern Ireland, and the civil servants who have been left in charge, they have not been in the position to actually offer pay deals to those workers. The hope is now that that money will flow pretty quickly and those pay negotiations can begin and those industrial disputes can start to be de-escalated.
John, there at Stormont, thanks for the latest. Thank you.